Good to see you all. Welcome in the Cultural Center. Wow. So windy here. Okay, so welcome to the Political Café. I have the honor to introduce a really good friend of mine. Um, so, I think you all know him, Indra. He's at home in the Global Law School. He's here since several years, again and again. I met him in India, where we had Defend the Sacred Alliance. I was honored to go there in the name of Tamara, with Barbara Kovac, Ayla Shibli, and to go there as an alliance to visit a good friend of ours, a preparation partner, and this is Rajendra Singh, who's called the Water Gandhi of India, the Waterman of India, who does amazing work of rejuvenating rivers, something so important and political in these times. The friends did a water retention course 3 weeks ago with me. They know what I'm talking about. Probably you also, the others. But there I met Indra, and he was, I don't know, the left hand, the right hand of Rajendra. He was really helping a lot to present, to organize, to show us, to complement Rajendra's work. I was very impressed of him, and we became really good friends. I'm really happy for our friendship. We're both water activists and pirates, I would say. And he's also a journalist. He did a presentation here about the farm revolution in India, and I was really impressed from his work and his presentation. He's a writer, an activist, and works a lot with Agenda and also does other projects. I heard that he is now rejuvenating 3 rivers, which I find amazing. I hope we will hear more about his work. So thank you very much. We will have a presentation about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we will open for questions. The whole thing will go more or less an hour. Yeah? So welcome in.
Hello everyone. Is my voice audible?
Yes.
Accent okay?
More than this.
Great. So before I begin, I would like to deeply thank the Tamara community that have been so warm and kind to have me in Tamara for the past 4 years, and the kind of teachings and love that I've received from Tamara I can never repay. So a great gratitude to Tamara, to the founders, to the elders that are here, and to the elders that have passed. All the people, a big thank you.
Thank you.
And speaking for this deep love that not only I share for Tamara, but also my mentor and guru, Rajendra Singh, who was also here in Tamara and was deeply impressed by the way water conservation is done here too. Because although for the world, this is the industrialized parts, okay, the first worlds. But here, when we see small-scale, nature-based projects, we know that the future of this country and this region, this bioregion, is also secure. Okay? And today, in these next 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, my attempt will be to showcase what is Indian indigenous water wisdom and how have we implemented it to combat things like climate change, scarcity, and bring back dignity in society. Okay? And like all good pagans, I shall begin this lecture with a small water prayer. Okay? And I want all of you to please, if you can, tune in for just 1 second. Tune in to whatever you think is feminine divinity in your own culture. Remember that feminine goddess. Let's salute to her. Now, as we come back, I bring you something which shows the very uniqueness of our ancestors. We always thought science, spirituality, activism all moved together. We ritualized ecological principles. We safeguarded good ecological thinking in our religion and in our spirituality. What we have here is a simple prayer in Sanskrit, which basically understands and recognizes the truth which today climate scientists are coming to, that water is life. Water is the creator of the planet. Water is climate, and climate is water. Whether you are from the pre-Socratic Greeks, where Thales thought that water is the primary element, or you're the thinker and the rishis of the Vedas who are imagining that we are born in our mother's water, we come to life in our mother's water, and when we die, we are given back to the river. And this is where I would like to pick up from something what Silvano said during the matinee. He was talking about the serpent and the dragons, and how in society these people have always emerged to ensure that the snakes, and the snakes in the mythological sense in India, let me just speak a little bit about that. My namesake Indra is considered like the king of gods in India. And one of the creation stories of our land begin with this giant serpent that is coming and drinking all the heavenly waters that come down from the heaven. And because of which, the land is barren. There is no life. And then comes namesake Indra with a big sword and fights the demon. Finally, he kills the snake and the waters are released. Now that could have been a mythological snake. But today that snake has taken many forms and it lives in all of our homes and our societies. These snakes are privatization, commodification, the despiritualization of water, where water for people is just a euro. You are not seeing the value of water, but only the price of things. Corporate greed, we have the transactional mind. The snake has embedded itself in our hearts, where we have forgotten the divinity that is in our own cultures, which pray to water and the water spirits. I know from being in Tamera, you sing to your springs. I believe there's a Portuguese word. Silvani, could you help me out? What is that festival where you sing to the springs?
Photoshilas.
Yes. People of this land, some residues of that culture still survive. But the snake is what the real problem is today. The snake of commodification, privatization, and the destruction of water. Now the question becomes, how do we fight this? How can we become modern day Indras to fight this snake? And I think the answer comes in small nature-based solutions. Nature-based, people-driven, decentralized methods of water rejuvenation. Not of water conservation, not of water preservation, but of water rejuvenation. In India, together, and I'm just going to throw some facts right now before we move in onto the steps of how we do these things. We have rejuvenated 15,000 water reservoirs, 23 river systems, recharged 300,000 wells, given employment to 17 million people, and influenced the life of generations across 20 states of the country of India. That is the scale of our work. Now the natural question is, how do we do this? Do we need big machines? Do we need engineers? Do we need architects? Who do we need? The right answer is we need illiterate, uneducated people with a strong will. We do not need the mind jobs. We do not need the words. We do not need people who know very much about things. We need people who are dedicated and want to save this earth because it is divine. And that starts the story. 1 second. Okay. Now with this point, I would like to move in to the first river system that was restored by our organization. Okay, and let me just tell you, I am not formally associated in terms of financially associated with Rajendra, just to make that very, very clear. He is my teacher and I'm his student in the traditional sense of Indian teacher-student relationships, okay? And I serve as the international coordinator for the Jal Biradri, which is a non-financial position. So all this and around the world that I give lectures is to amplify the voice of the farmers. Having said that, it just makes things transparent. So this is the first river that we kind of rejuvenated in that area. And why I bring this geological map for you, all of you, is to see how the soil actually is, how the landscape actually works here, you see. And we began this step with that first step, when we said that if we want to revive a river, first we have to revive the community. We never do any physical action till the time there is social community action. So anybody who wants or is thinking of rejuvenating water in their communities, remember that the first step is not digging the earth. The first step is digging yourself and then helping understand those principles deeply. First digging and putting those principles in your heart and then spreading those principles to other people. But how do we do this in practice? When we move into a village, we say that first we need to have women-led communities and committees for water management and water rejuvenation. Yes. Why? Because women are the natural holders of water. They are the natural key takers, they're caretakers of water. If you look at various traditions, religious and spiritual traditions within India, we consider the rivers our mothers. Each water body has a spiritual feminine entity attached with it. Okay? So that's why we honor the divine in the women in society. And we say, once the women come together, water can come together. So the first step is to educate the women in a small village. Okay? Next, we say to the village that you have to give up drinking. So no alcohol and no deforestation. After that, we say that your children, your girl children have to go to school. If you do not do these things, we shall not begin work in your village. There is also the fifth thing, there is also another important aspect that we stress on, that 30% of all the resources that are required for building a particular reservoir will have to be generated by the village community, because we do not believe in charity. We do not believe in giving something to somebody and that's it, no. And when I say we need 30% from the community, we mean that you don't have to give us money. If, for example, during the construction work, food is required, petrol is required, some other things are required, you come and contribute with those things. And if you can't give anything, give us your labor. Work on the project so that you can own the project. Let no one else tell you afterwards that this is not yours. So we start this very strong social exercise where we start getting the villages together. Okay? And that's exactly what we did when we started the Arvari River project, which was the first river we revived. Okay? Now once this process is completed, then begins the second step, which is now moving towards the construction of the dam or of the reservoir. Okay? Is it getting too technical? Let me just ask. Yeah. Everyone following me? Yeah. Great. And in case I get technical, Silvano, you have to cut me down, okay? So after this process, the second thing we do is we say that we try and talk to the elders. It's very important in any conservation work that you have to work with the guidance of the elder community. No matter, I believe there is great energy in young people. Young people are great, but we are misguided without the wisdom of our elders. Because the things that we are experiencing now, they have experienced many cycles of them. They have seen many, many years of monsoon. They know exactly when the rain comes, where the water goes, where is the sinkhole, where is which type of soil. These things only experience can teach you. So we rally up all the older people of the village. And once we rally up all the older people of the village, then we talk to them. Be like, hey, when you were a child, when did the rains come? How green was it? What kind of vegetation grew in which areas? Where did you go for irrigation? Which ponds did you go to feed or for your cattle? Which ponds did you use for bathing? which ponds did you use for agriculture? And what are the locations of some of the older structures in the village? Because it's very, India has one small advantage. We still have a very living culture. So although things may be destroyed, but yet there are remains and signs of them that they had existed maybe 100 years or 150 years before. So we don't try to reinvent the wheel ever. Our approach is to tap into the ethnic knowledge of that area, ethnic relationships of that area, and then do the work in the most fast way possible. That's why we get the women, we get the elders, and then we ask, what are the older structures? We go there, we see them. If they can be repaired, we repair them. If new structures have to be built, then we ask for land donations. So people who are coming together in these committees, who are making these pledges, they tell us that, hey, we will, for example, give this much land, we'll give half an acre, we'll give 1 acre, because the land holding in India is very, very small. We'll give 1/4 of an acre. So we pool the land together of all the farmers, and then we see, for example, if this is the recharge zone, hypothetically, okay, where the water reaches and it recharges the ground aquifers. Everyone understanding this, how water moves below soil? Everyone with me? Yes? So here what we do is we ask farmers to, for example, donate maybe this strip of land right here. And then we dig it out and then start, and when the water comes, this area becomes like a catchment area where we have water construction ponds, okay? So land pooling exercise is a very important one, especially in areas where farming situations are desperate and small landholder farmers exist, okay? Because you cannot force one person to donate all the land. That's not being fair. So all the people who are benefited from the land, we make a proper list. We have communities reporting themselves. We don't have managers and consultants and engineers who are going and doing this work. We have actually people from the village. Most of them do not even know a word of English. They don't even speak Hindi. They speak local vernacular languages. So our expertise is really in working with uneducated people, who I personally prefer a lot. And those are the real people of my country. Even I am an abomination with British education and other things. But those are the real people who are the soul of the country. And they understand all this in a very deep and body kind of way. They are not mental people like me. They understand things from the body. And they understand the earth body as they understand their own body. They have a very good sense of what is just and what is ethical. Of course, India also has structural problems. I'm not saying India is the best country and we are the best culture in the world. Please don't think that. But when it comes to water management, we see the work not just as a water work, but also spiritual work. Okay? So once the land pooling is done, then we move to the next step of how can we actually get the resources required to build the structure. Now, who decides what kind of structure to build? Okay, it's a very, very important step. That once you have the land, you could build a wrong structure and the whole dam could flood out in like 5 years' time. And then the community and everybody, we will lose a lot of face. So what we do is, we speak with the people, and then we have these 3 designs which can be used all over India. And these 3 designs are, number 1, the hugging design. Okay? When you give the water a hug, and in my language it's called the half moon design, but just to make it funny, I'm saying a hug design, okay? And when the water is coming, like basically you want to hold the water, and it's coming from not a very, very high steep, it's coming, but the water is rolling onto the place, you hug the water, okay? Then if the water is coming with a very high speed, or from a high elevation, we create like an arrow design, where you're hitting the water like this, and the water speed breaks, and the dam does not break, okay? And the final design is a slant design, where we kind of put our hands like this and say, let's build a straight dam where we have gentle slopes where the water is coming from. Now you may want to know, why do we do these things? Because the principle of our indigenous water conservation is based on this one simple sentence, that we have all the water that we need, okay? But the trick to our own water sovereignty lies in the fact that we catch the water from the rains. We catch the running water from the rains, which is running really fast, okay? And when it comes to the ground, you have to make the running water walk. And once the water is walking, then you make the water crawl. And when the water is crawling, you save it in the womb of the earth and save it from the rays of the sun. Once you're able to do that, you will never experience flood, drought, or water shortages. Remember, the key is not to ever stop water. If you stop water, you're inviting disaster upon yourself. Because it's not in the water, it's not in the nature of water to be stopped. Eventually and over time, it will destroy you if you try to stop it. Greater minds and greater civilizations have tried, and they all have failed miserably. So we believe in this system and this principle of rejuvenation, which can be implemented all over the world. Okay, any questions so far? Understandable? Okay. Now, what happens is, when we actually implement these designs, what begins to happen? You have scenes like this. Water and rivers, and sorry, before I go there, I would also like to say, we believe in small scale work. Okay, once we start implementing the principle, we don't believe in big structures at all. We believe in creation of a small network of reservoirs across the land. For example, if we are trying to revive water in one particular village or in a block, maybe a set of 5 or 10 villages, we will not create one big reservoir, but rather we would create a network of 50 reservoirs, which are then slowing down the water and overall increasing the water availability in the area. But now a question can be, how can we increase water availability in the area by having small ponds all around it? Here I would like for you to understand one small technical thing. In India, we don't have engineers, I've already said that enough, but we have indigenous wisdom and indigenous scientific principles through which we can understand subsoil geology. What does that mean? Anyone have a clue? What is subsoil geology? No? Okay. So subsoil geology is how, when you look at the soil, what kind of fracturing and what kind of rock structures is below the soil. Okay? And if you do not consider what structures are below the soil, you can never build on the soil. Keep that in mind. So in our observation, trees are the best ways to know what is the soil below your land. If you have thin-leaved trees, remember, if you have thin-leaved trees, that means that your subsoil geology has horizontal fracturing. What does horizontal fracturing mean? It's like, imagine this is the earth, okay, the ground. The fractures are like this, the rocks are like arranged like this. And when the water goes, it spreads horizontally. Okay? And then the trees, which have thin leaves, are indicators of the fact that the soil has horizontal fracturing. Okay? Now there is a second kind of fracturing which is seen in nature called the vertical fractures. And wherever you see the existence of broad-leaf trees, you know, the big leaf trees, you will find that subsoil geology has vertical fracturing systems. That means that when the water goes inside, the water will fill up like this first, like deeply, and then rise up and come to the surface. Now if you look at patterns where there are rivers, creeks, rivulets all across the world, all these places below the river, you'll have vertical fracturing. And in other areas next to the river, you'll have horizontal fracturing systems. Is that clear to everybody? Horizontal, vertical fracturing? Can I ask a question? What does thin leaves represent? You got to learn it. So it's very important that whenever we are trying to apply this principle, we have to understand the subsoil geology, because if you make the structure that is needed for the vertical fracture in a horizontal place, your dam will break. Okay? And you cannot fully harness the power of nature. And what I mean by that, for example, if there is a horizontal fracturing system somewhere, and you build upon it in a way that the water threshold pressure activates the subsoil hydrology. Was that understood by everybody? Like if, for example, if this is the water level you add more water, then the earth naturally, because of the rock fractures, has the potential to spread water up to 30 kilometers downstream without the use of any artificial pipes, without the use of any pumping mechanisms. If you have a network of, again, I keep repeating this, if you have a network of small reservoirs, you can actually use and activate nature's own piping system, saving a lot of energy, saving a lot of resources, and working with nature and not against her. Okay? Similarly, wherever we want to increase the groundwater, or for example, revive a river, we will look for areas with the broad leaves, because these vertical fracture systems act as nature's water bank within the soil. Whenever you want to save water, you should look for the vertical fracturing system, because it's having like a water tank below your soil, naturally given to you by nature. Okay? And hence it's very important to understand, and I'm saying maybe some of you are here from America, from other parts of the world, please understand, whenever you're building a water project, if you do not understand the soil biology, you are killing your project on the first day. So we must have a very, very good understanding of that. Okay? Now comes the next aspect, like of this whole system. Next slide. So now this photograph is very good, and can someone tell me what kind of fractures are there in this below soil? Okay. Let me answer. This is a trick question. So this is just to describe what I mean by, now imagine this soil. This is the rock bed, and because we recharge waters right up, like maybe like 200 meters before this, we have a small check dam. Okay, because of which the water naturally traveled below the rock bed and reached this point. And here the water, this is a very, it may seem like a normal photo, but look at the water level and look at the ground level. And this we've done without the use of any energy. No petrol, no electricity, no human power, no mechanical power. Just with nature's power, by adding more hydrological pressure here, you can move water downstream at almost surface level without the loss of water. And that's how these indigenous principles work. You know, it's not all the hippie hoo-hoo talk of divinity. Like, it actually does work. Now this is the Arvari. Just to give you a map, I'm not going to be completely explaining this, but this is for you to see, you know, the river basin that we revived, and this is one of the first projects that we did. Okay, and see how, you know, the river moves, how big an area this is, just for you to take a look. No. Okay. Now the question is, how do we do this without engineers? No? We have all these complex systems. How did we learn all this knowledge from? Did we actually read some book? No. None of us who's trained in the water work has read any book on water. The way my master, Rajendra Singh, learned was he was put down in a well by this 70-year-old man and said, we don't need your medicine, we need to know about water. So this man put Rajendra Singh in an old dried well for 2 days. For 2 days he was given many trips under the well. You know, these dried wells that are there, they are run for 100 feet. So each day he spent 1 day in one well and the other day in another well to understand how does soil biology, soil geology work. What is the relationship between plants and water? Because plants do half the work for us. It's only in the industrial scientific paradigm do we not understand the efficient use of plants. We treat them as dead objects without sentience. But actually, plants have a lot of sentience, sometimes even more than animals, and even more than human beings. That's how smart and intelligent they are. So our whole thing is built on first looking at vegetation, looking at plants, looking at soil, looking at agriculture, looking at termite molds. Termites are great indicators to the presence of water. And all these things have been present in our system, and we just took them and revived this knowledge. None of this knowledge is created by us. Let me just say that. Most of the knowledge and the things that I'm speaking today is the gift and the wisdom of my and all the Indian ancestors that have given this to us. Our work is built on these principles. We only use like local technology, local resources, community-based approaches. I guess you could read the rest, like in that sense. But that is the core of our water work. We do not work with corporations. We do not work with governments. We do not work with people with who have really big money fantasies. We don't like them. And the other thing is that the work of water is a religious work. It's something that gives you good karma. Everyone knows karma? And it's a direct way, like in India, money is not so important, although we are taken over by a money system and a neo-fascist government. But to get to heaven, you need to have good karma. Nothing else can get you there. Okay? And this is some very good way of doing that. In fact, in my culture, there's also, and I'm not saying for all India, the particular religious order and sects I follow, if I sell water, that's the worst crime I can do. Selling of water. Okay? Just to give you some cultural context on this.
Do you want me to change the slide?
Oh, that'll be great. But now the question is of decision-making process. Like I already went over just to now for you to what's coming in the time?
10 minutes more.
Oh, 10 minutes.
Next question.
Okay. Then let me quickly. So guys, just quickly see some photos, and then I'll come back and explain some more. This is a good photo. Man smoking a pipe. Huh? Now again, this is a very interesting photograph because this is from one of our older projects. Okay, and here again you see the well. All these areas were completely parched, which means completely thirsty. And why had they become such? Because the advent of industrial agriculture brought about new seeds which required more water. And because of the water guzzling crops and these new seeds, the natural resources started to deplete very, very quickly. Okay? So this is again just to show you that in a 30 or 20-year period, we can restore water back to its original level. So people who say that water is lost, we need to commodify, ship water from somewhere else across the country or the world to your place, all that is a myth. Okay? And why is it a myth? We will show 10 minutes. Okay. They say pictures speak more than 1,000 words, okay? So now just some comparative pictures for you all. The river system that we were restoring in 1985 and the river and in 2000. Now, this is a very interesting map because the government of India went after Rajendra Singh, put him in prison, he was attacked by people, and then said that what you're doing is damaging the environment. So we said, okay, we don't speak scientific jargon, we do not like scientific jargon. We in fact militate against it. So we said, why don't you do a scientific study with the remote sensing satellites and see the effect for yourself? Like you have the data, why don't you compare it with science? And what they found out, this is their map and this is the location of all our projects, the blue dots, okay? In a period of, you can say 20 years, that is the difference. The immense increase in vegetation, and the red you see is the vegetation increase of all the plants and how nature recovers just with a small amount of network of water reservoirs. This is to kind of prove that this work is actually possible. And in a very small, low-cost way, we can all do this in places that we are at. Okay? Not this. Okay, just some more photos. I know we are running short on time. Sorry.
Yeah, don't be stressed. Take your time.
Okay. So this is how this area, the entire area looked in 1985. And look now.
Is this Rajasthan?
This is Rajasthan. Now comes the most critical, before I move to this section, I must also mention, once the water project is done, we don't abandon the area. Remember I told you about the committees. The committees monitor the project forever after the project is built. And we have very strict rules. For example, once the water project is built, no grazing till 5 years. Then we have limits. Like cows can enter the area after 5 years, then goats can enter the area after 6 years, then camels can enter the area only after 7 years of plantation. We have fines for people who are actually there and deforesting the land. We have active forestation methods through which we not only create water, but we create forests and dignity for the people in the village. So they don't have to go to somebody else for their food, for their water, and for their dignity basically. That's the model we work on. We don't believe that changing water is the only way out. If you start changing water, you have to end with change in society. That is one process. It's not in isolation that I only do water work. Like in Tamara, there is great insistence on water, there is great insistence on sexuality, and they both are linked. The same energy that transforms water is the same energy that transforms sexuality. It's the healing of water and the healing of sexuality. The source of that is the same. And we follow the same idea in our way. If water is healed, so will climate be healed, so will society be healed, so will individuals be healed. Everything works in one cyclical thing. It's not unconnected, it's not isolated. Now these slides are just to show you, these are from the area 1985 to 2025, but I'm going to show you how climate is water and water is climate. These are parts which were deeply deforested, okay? And the different colors represent the different heat zones. Okay, because of the deforestation, intense heat was falling here, and the evaporation from the ocean was being stopped by the greenery in the hills. And the moisture clouds could never transfer from here to here. Okay? That was the original state of the crisis.
Singapore, can you know?
Now what used to happen is, once there was excessive heat here, the winds used to come and the clouds used to be here. But because of the excessive heat draft, the clouds never transferred over here. Okay? Next please. Again, heat zone, all the water gets dispelled here. And these areas every year, periodically, become more parched and more thirsty. Now what started is, we started building water projects all along this heat belt. We immediately saw that the heat radiation that was here started to change. Next slide please. Now what happened is, when the rains came here, slowly our water projects started to fill up. Okay? And we planned them. Remember, the key word is never build one project alone. You have to have a network. So in the first years, we found some of these places got filled. Next please. Now when these got filled, what they did is, they created microclimatic clouds and microclimatic conditions in the sub-region. So even beyond that, these areas started to get their own cloud systems, okay, with time. Please. And the dates are given below so one can see that. Now when you have more evaporation, that means more rainfall is going to occur in this area, which basically means that all the water evaporated, which was being lost to the heat wave and to the ocean, is now being part of a local ecosystem which is replenishing the water of all our reservoirs. So just with some small steps, you could create a big amplification and a big change. Okay? And then you see that now this is a local phenomena, and another local phenomena is happening on the ocean. Okay? Please, next one. And finally we see that these two processes have joined together, and now the rainfall impact, and this is becoming the green zone. So just by building a network of water reservoirs, you can create big microclimatic changes in that area. You can bring back, you can reverse climate change, and all of this is proved, scientifically proved. We have papers on it, the UN recognizes it, and this is a model of how using $1 for every dollar, in fact our calculations are, for every 20 cents of a dollar that you spend, you can save 10,000 liters of water. Every 20 cent, that's maybe in one chocolate's worth, you could save maybe 50,000 liters of water in India. That's how effective this model is. And that is the scale. Next one please. Now what happens is, once these microclimatic zones start to function, we see that the heat, the climate change risk, which is the big thing of global warming, natural fires, forest fires happening all over the world, we find that the cloud systems act as a protective layer against the excessive heating. So even phenomena like El Nino, we have super solar flares and all that, because of the presence of local clouds, humanity is protected not just from radiation, but from the evil effects of climate change and climate degradation. So I think that's kind of an overall thing, but I would like to now end on a slightly spiritual note and encourage that this was the way we did things, okay, and we are doing things. But the real change can only come once there is a change and a changing of the mind's eye in people. I can give you the principles, but till the time each one of you doesn't put the effort to discover their own water divinity in your own culture, please, if you don't have cultural roots, take from the roots of your land. But if you have connections to your ancestors, to your older generations, try and find out who were you before this mass wave of religions came to your country. What were your water goddesses? Who were your water gods? What was water divination for you? I know it's not going to be an easy exercise, but what is that factor that we must all connect with? Because the real problem of water is the problem of the snake. And the snake of privatization, commodification can only work once we are spiritually empty and spiritually dead. Once money has taken over our heart, there will be no place for spirituality. So hence, my attempt and my request is, try and bring the water divinity back in your heart. And the question could be, well, I am not a very big hippie, how can I find water divinity? Okay? Right? That could be a question. Like, where do I say my parents left for America 500 years ago or whatever, 300 years ago? I have no relationship. I have mixed ancestry. I don't know where I come from. These are very real questions that we must ask. And there I say, don't let the head lead. Lead from your heart. Ask yourself, sit with the water. If you really want to do a brutal exercise, try being thirsty for one day. If you really can be thirsty for 3. And then you will know the value of water. I did this on myself. Became thirsty, didn't eat food, and didn't even drink water. And that's the day my real water activism began for me. In that thirst, when I was going mad over water, that where is water? My body is shutting down. I'm having hallucinations because of no water. That's when you really understand what is the work of water. I will not ask you to be so brutal with yourself, but just try and not drink water for half a day. And then see what is the real value of water. And I don't have to preach anymore, but once you understand that value for yourself, I think the way ahead is very, very simple. Your heart already knows the way. We just have to empower it to embrace the divinity of water and respect. Thank you so much for listening. Over to questions.
Thank you, Indra, for this beautiful showcase. It really gives a lot of hope. We're really good friends. I tell you now also why. We're really working for the same thing. Are there any questions? We still have a bit of time. So,
You mentioned something in the beginning of there are new projects, new things in the moment.
Yes, currently.
What is it?
Currently, I'm helping revive 3 rivers in India. They're not as big as the Ganga, but they are small rivers. One is in Karauli district of Rajasthan, and the other 2 are in Jashpur, which is in central India, where I'm working with the government and Rajendra Singh to help not use our resources, but the government's resources. We have some influence there to help the government do the work that it's supposed to do. So that is the kind of work I'm coordinating personally right now, along with some local partners. We've made some inroads. Certain things and notifications are being issued by the government so that encroachment and pollution can stop in these rivers. And those are some of the first steps that we've taken. And every year, that's just as I'm now speaking for the organization, we build around 1,000 water reservoirs every year. That's kind of our scale and method.
Yeah, when you start working on a certain aspect, working with the women and the elders, have you encountered any resistance from the local culture? And how did you?
Yes, I will give you a very extreme example. We used to work in an area which was infested by bandidos. Bandidos? Criminals. Rob, huh?
Outlaws.
But outlaws have a negative connotation in English. Okay, like bandits. Bandits, huh? Like these people who are farmers, but because of loss of water, were pushed towards violence. And I want to say that, of course, we talk about the sacred matrix at Tamara a lot. We have discovered in our own way that that sacred matrix is highly disrupted when there is a lot of thirst. And water is that vehicle through which a matrix of hate can be converted into a matrix of peace. Okay? Water is that vehicle on which this decision lies. So once there is thirst in society, criminality will increase. Social injustices will increase. Okay? And we only deal with these kind of areas actually. So 3 of our workers were kidnapped by the bandits, okay, and taken prisoner. And then we finally figured out, hey, that we have no money, why are you trying to kidnap us? The bandit told us that it's, why are you making water reservoirs in the opposite armed camps groups? You understand? In the inter-rivalry between bandits, they were like, why are you doing it in their villages? Do in our villages also. So you see, I think, and I cannot say this enough, but it is through simple words of love and simple actions of water we can bring a big convergence of even most opposing groups. We work with Hindus, Muslims, socially marginalized people, and everybody wants to come together for one topic, that is water. All distinctions finish. For everyone, whether you're a lizard, whether you're a bird, whether you're a human, God has given, or Goddess has given, different foods for all of us. But there's only one water we all drink. So, water is the point of convergence of the sacred matrix, in my understanding of it. Okay? If the sacred matrix has many vehicles, water is a principal one. Does that answer the question? And we've also been attacked. Rajendra Singh has been in coma for 3 months. There have been many life attempts on him, on the organization, but in front of children I don't want to go in much of the ghastly details. But yes, it's, let's just say, India is a third world. And we have real challenges of corruption, influence of power, which destroy the soul not only of the hills and mountains, but also of people. And we've suffered quite a bit because of it also. Thank you.
I have been there and the honor to be there in this place where Indra was calling people now bandits, and they're amazing, beautiful people, being on the land, farming, being very generous. I saw them really impressive projects.
And I'll just add one thing to them, like one of the farmers there in these villages, his only dream was to grow wheat and eat wheat on his land. Can you imagine? Like in the year late 2000 or something like that, someone has a dream of eating wheat for the first time. Can you imagine the power that that thought has? We think of bread, we don't even think anything of bread and wheat. But it's someone's life ambition to grow wheat and eat it. That's the transformational power of water.
Okay, who else?
Yeah, a bit similar question. When one sees this huge amount of impact that we had, 17 million people, 23 rivers, everything, it's visible for the whole world. How's the resonance of the world? I mean, also from countries and governments. Is there still mainly a fight against it because the snake that you spoke about, or we have a feeling now something is opened up that it is seen from the world as a possible solution for climate change, or is it still a brave fight that you have to fight against all the corruption and all the obstacle, resistance and everything? How is it feeling?
See, let's just say, in my slightly younger days, okay, which are not too far away from me now, I had a mad burning and passion for fighting. Okay? But it's not in the nature of water to fight. And I think my teacher has taught me that in some deep way, although there is a deep spark and fire in both of us. But we like to be gentle with everybody. And water is that element that can take any vessel. And water is also that element that has the most destructive power once it's stopped. So we don't fight people anymore, but if they are wrong, we will also not go back on our point. We will be there. There are demonstrations. Right now we are demonstrating for saving this western Aravalli mountain range in India. We are thinking of we are actually working to create legislations, catchment areas, and some of these lot of work is happening, including mass public campaigns, because the Supreme Court of India and Indian Supreme Court and the legal system is the worst in the world and the most corrupted, where all cases are won only with money and corruption, mostly, 90%, especially at that level. So, in such a legal system, there is no justice. So then we have said that we will not work with the government. It's thoughts like the American thinker Wendell Berry, where they are saying that we want to have our own sovereign systems, and that's how we work. Whenever we say, can we do a negative or a positive, we think we will act positively. And our strength comes from the strength of our communities and not by fighting the government. Does that help answer?
Yeah, and the resonance from the world was the other part of my
And
question.
for that, once you come to India, you never go back. I think I just want to say that. once you see our projects there, I think it has not only a lasting impact on an individual, but the knowledge that there were like a group of 30 people that came in January from America and 14 other countries, along with Zach Weiss from the Water Stories. And when I met some of them and got some of the feedback, their eyes are like this. Like, how can you people with so little, living in the 17th century, manage to do this? And if you all can do this, why can't we? In the end, we are all human. And when we see another human do something, we understand how we can also do that. And sometimes just by spreading the message to another, we are fulfilling our duty towards Mother Nature. So there is resonance. People who are good gravitate towards the good. People who are bad gravitate towards the bad. And that's the truth of life. So people who come and see our work, like myself, the first time I can tell you my personal story, the first time I met Rajendra in his project, I took off my hat, did pranam to him, did namaste to him, said, whatever you have to teach, I will learn. Because what I see, I've never seen anywhere before. I've never seen so much good being done by one individual. I've never seen it. I've seen politics, I've seen bickering, I've seen power games, but I've never seen so much impact. So whatever you want to do, I will be your slave. Just teach me. And it's been 7 years. I am his loyal slave and student.
Thank you. Thank you.
One question more.
It's a more simple question, I guess. This business of the thin leaf, horizontal structure, wide leaf, vertical structure, is this a global phenomenon or is this India mostly? Do you know?
We are debating this very heavily with some of the very pioneering American water rejuvenation people. So in some areas it works. We are like, American ethnic knowledge has been lost. Okay? And even the native people, many of them don't have the water traditions anymore. They may have the prayers, but they don't have the ways of water rejuvenation. And of course, there are some areas like, for example, in Mammoth, with the Paiute tribe, where they have discovered old agricultural ditches. But the continuous flow of agricultural and water wisdom that was with the native people of, let's just say, that place, is, I think, very broken right now. So we cannot say with certainty that this principle applies, but from my reading that I've seen Montana, I've seen 15 states in the US, also other parts of the world, this principle mostly applies to most parts of the world. But once again I say, if you have modern technologies and things available, there's no harm double checking it. Yeah?
Thank you, Indra.
So does anyone want to come to India? Can I ask that question?
Yes. I will come.
You anyways come. We love you in India. Any more questions?
So maybe on the same line, do you have, let's say, next year, are you regularly sharing this knowledge in Europe, for example, or you mentioned the States, what's about Europe? Do you have connection with people who are environmentalists and such church people? I'm thinking of CMP in England, and there's a lot of organization. Are you already regularly invited to talk about that?
My area of kind of role is mainly in America, but Europe is something that we are looking into. And Rajendra, my guru, he often visits many of these conferences, but wherever he can't go, he sends me.
Okay.
So of course we can talk about this, and this is also another offer. Maybe there could be a joint trip from Tamara and everybody else to come to our network partner, visit Rajendra. We can have a great trip like with Zach Weiss and learn something about water and do something great too, you know. So there are many avenues that we can develop once there is interest, and all possibilities are possible.
And yes, so beside the talk, have you the capacity within the organization, you said, to have people who come in the region in France or wherever in Europe to start the thing, or?
We have capacities for everything. Like to get you, maybe we can host 500 people in the ashram for 20 days if you want.
You know, I mean reverse.
And also the reverse.
Okay.
Like we were given, I was personally given an opportunity. I couldn't go because of I have a trip to Bosnia next, but I was called to Ireland, where they have a problem of a very highly contaminated river. We were also, thanks to Tamara and the connections, we were also in Colombia, and we had the good opportunity to meet with the Apartado community, the peace community, and then further on with the government ministers, agriculture ministry, and other people, where we hope we contributed something which would help Colombia become more water sovereign and at least have better water practices. So this is the kind of synergy that is created when partners come together. And this is also an invitation, like we work very closely with Tamara, we would also like to invite people, whether through Tamara or directly, we can all come together and start on this greater vision for water for the world 2047. How does water look in our communities, in our homes, in our cities, in our countries in the year 2047 or 2030? I think we all need to start thinking, and I'll leave you with one last thought. Like I think if we all want to be water activists in any way, we don't have to start tomorrow, we can start today. Just think in all the ways you can minimize violence towards water and maximize non-violence towards water. I'm going to say that again. It's a simple principle but hard to do. How can you maximize non-violence towards water, and how can you minimize violence towards water? Think about this line every time you're using water. And by the end of 1 year, you'll be giving a lecture, not me.
So I wish you a joyful time getting into a loving relationship with your waters, and inspire communities in the watershed, wherever you are. Thank you, Indra, for this beautiful, inspiring speech, and thank you and greetings to Rajendra for all his work, and good luck with the 3 new rivers. Amazing, amazing scale. So thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Have a good night.